you all for taking the time to be here today.
Thank you so much. And it just, I'm very encouraged by who's on the call and everyone's commitment in this space and everything that everyone is doing. I thought it was really important as we come to the fall and we're hearing a lot more about trafficking, and we're hearing about the efforts that are being done not only nationally but locally, that we talk to our county attorney, because we do a lot of work with law enforcement. Our cities have been active. But at the end of the day, once the police arrest, we need to have a strong prosecutor who will prosecute the crimes. The greatest frustration that I know that law enforcement can have is if they build a case and then it doesn't get prosecuted, or it isn't prosecuted to the full extent of the law. So I have known Alistair Adele a very, very long time in 10 years that we've known each other and worked together. Before she was the county attorney, she had a heart for anti-trafficking work. And so I thought it would be good if she could give us some background personally on her county attorney office is handling these kinds of cases, how they work with the state, maybe how they work federally, and make the distinction. And she's hired some really great people to come and work with her in the office. So I want us as a group to be aware of who she has on her team and their commitment to this crime. So Alistair, if you don't mind, please go ahead.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you guys for having me today. I'm going to give you a little bit about my experience so that you have some confidence in the state I'm sitting in as your prosecutor for the third largest prosecution agency in the country with 1,000 employees. And also I want to talk about my experience and my passion for bringing this issue to light in our community. And then a little bit what we're doing in the office and how we can better collaborate and have better partnerships, because I truly believe that's the only way we can get anything done in any social justice arena. So I started my career at the county attorney's office under Mr. Romley, where I prosecuted mainly vehicular crimes. I did prosecute a person who killed Officer Shane Figueroa from Phoenix Police. And at that point, I just needed to change. So I went to the gang unit, which was oddly enough less stress. And then I went to drug enforcement. From there, I was called up to a political appointment position as the director of the executive hearing office for the Department of Transportation. And then later I was honored to be the first general counsel for the newly created Department of Child Safety. So nonprofits have always been very near and dear to my heart. I am a proud Rotarian. All right, Kathleen, I'm gonna do the same thing. Any Rotary people in the room, raise your hand. Yay, okay. Rotary International has been in this space for a long time. And I was fortunate enough to become president of Phoenix Rotary 100. This is a tough topic for that group. We're the oldest and largest Rotary club. Chuck Fitzgerald, who was our past governor, was a friend of mine, and I went to him and said, I want to do a project that gets us back local, and we're focusing on social justice and victims' rights. So we talked a lot about this. I met a lot of wonderful people and just said, this is what we're going to do. And the vast majority of the club isn't going to like it. But we as members of society cannot bury our heads in the sand. It is our duty to come forward and help and bring a voice to this. So how are we going to do this? Well, we needed to get money. So with the help of people like Kathleen and others, we had a gala. It was really fun. You guys missed it. We were on the patio smoking cigars and had fireworks. So it was a lot of fun. So the money that we raised, we split it 3 ways. Well, really just 2. We gave money to Arizona Anti-Trafficking Network, which I thought I saw Savannah on the line. And then my pride and joy, because this took, after I left the presidency, like 18 months to come to fruition. We worked with some of our City of Phoenix council members to create a fellowship space and butterfly garden up at the Starfish Place Transitional Housing Facility in North Phoenix, so that these survivors and their families had somewhere to go. And so now they have, a basketball court, they've got outdoor toys, they've got a barbecue grill, they've got sitting areas. And the butterfly garden when we dedicate things, it was beautiful. I mean, it just symbolizes the chrysalis that these people are going through. And it was so great to see the children out there. We released like 200 butterflies. So, I mean, it still gives me the chills. And so we also made sure that we had the rotary 4-way test mounted on the wall, just to give these people hope and faith that there are people in the community that care about them and them not being marginalized. The other project that we did was the Red Sand Project. Is there anybody here who's not familiar with that? Raise your hand. Wow. Okay, all right, I'll do a little bit about it. An artist out of New York wanted to bring awareness to trafficking. And so she would do these art installations in sidewalks where you pour red sand in there, and it's biodegradable, it's not gonna stain anything, and it's supposed to symbolize no victims falling through the cracks, essentially. And there's also a social media component. So it was really also intended to engage the millennial population in this effort and make them aware too. So we did that. Obviously I live in Central Phoenix, so we did a mile-long stretch on Central Avenue and did an art installation there. Central High came out and helped us, and they have now taken that project on every year that they're doing. And when I took office last year in October, I made sure we did it at our office too, and it was great. Everybody came out, we had a lot of fun. It was in front of our new building, and for those of you in law enforcement, you'll appreciate this. We are no longer in that 301 building, by the way. We're in the old Madison Street Jail. And for a while, it actually did smell like the jail, but it's a beautiful new facility. And so that arts installation went from the front of our building down to the Superior Court building. And so it wasn't just our people seeing it. We wanted to make sure it was visible to victims, defendants, staff workers, judges, defense attorneys who are coming into the courtroom. So that was very important to me, and it still much very is. I would like to share with you a little bit about the office, though, just in general. Like I said, we've got 1,000 employees, and it's remarkable how hard these men and women work and how much they care. Being a prosecutor is a purpose-driven calling. And when I took office in October of 2019, I wanted to make sure that my priorities were also being reflected in that. And so we talk about being character-driven leaders, doing the right things for the right reasons every single time. This also means that we can't just ignore the tough subjects. I truly believe our prosecutors do that for the most time. However, when I was gearing up for the appointment, I talked with a lot of people in law enforcement. Law enforcement is near and dear to my heart. I was on the board of the 100 Club for a few years, and then I was the first woman chair. My godson, his dad is a Phoenix police lieutenant, and my sons, their godfather is a retired Phoenix police officer. So this is my heart too, and it's my community too. And I kept hearing stories about, and not just human trafficking cases, but assaults on officers, things like that, where they would work really hard on an investigation and then had no idea why it was turned down or what they could have done better. Or they might be told, well, yeah, we charged it, but it's just not enough. And that deteriorates the relationship between the county attorney's office and law enforcement that is absolutely critical. We have to have that relationship. So I created a new position when I started. Basically, this person is head of our investigations division, so that if law enforcement has a concern about how a case was handled, they can take it to him and he'll review it and get information from the prosecutor and get back with the law enforcement officer. Some of you may know him, his name's Tom Van Dorn. He and I were in the same law school class, and he just retired after almost 25 years as a commander in the Phoenix Police Department. He also is very passionate about this issue. And again, it's not just trafficking. The other collaboration part that I think is really, really key is working with public-private partnerships. I actually taught cross-sector collaborations at ASU's Public Service Academy, and we talk about various partnerships on social justice issues, whether it's recidivism reduction. How do we get to a point where we're doing the right thing? How do we show that we're successful? Do we have good data? Because without good data, we don't know what we're doing. And that's a real challenge. We did create a forward-facing dashboard so that you can actually get on our website now and look at the cases that are being submitted, how they're being resolved, demographics. We don't put out there as of right now, this percentage was gang related. This percentage was, theft of means of transportation. This was trafficking. Because as you know, sometimes someone could be charged with, organized retail theft, but they also had marijuana on them, and we don't want them to go to prison for longer. And so we plead them down to the possession of marijuana, perhaps, especially if the case isn't good. On the back end, we're trying to fix that technologically, so we do have a better idea and better data. With that said, though, we've got 3 great prosecutors in our office that really care about this. They've worked very hard. They deserve a ton of recognition. And are we all going to be perfect every time? No. But if we keep the conversation going and that strong relationship between prosecutors and law enforcement, social services agencies, nonprofits, I truly believe that we can make a dent at least. There was a prosecutor that was there for many years who also actually went to law school with me. And she was a champion in these types of cases, absolute champion. Won a ton of awards, and she's a very dear friend of mine. I was at her wedding. Well, Erin Otis, if you know her, she became a judge, and she was unhappy because she really felt like she needed to effectuate change. So if you can imagine taking a massive pay cut to go back and do what you love, that shows character, and that's Erin. So she's back in the office now. She is not doing the trafficking cases. She is in our capital unit doing capital cases though. So she's still out there serving victims, but she's back. And I can tell you, I have never seen her so happy. But she's also there to mentor our other attorneys to make sure that we are providing the best possible service that we can to our victims and to the community. I truly believe that public safety is key to a lot. If we don't have public safety, we don't have a good economy. Our kids aren't safe. So it scares me to think if we don't have what is at the core of our society. And right now, there's a lot of civil unrest. I fear that it creates opportunities for children to be in vulnerable situations. And talking with the child help founders, and I'm now chair of their advisory board, we've seen a downturn in child abuse cases because our kids aren't in school. They're not seeing their teachers. It frightens me, but we're going to be ready for it. But the fact that we still have a pandemic going on, the amount of opportunity, not just for abuse, but to be exploited is high. So I think it's incumbent upon all of us to have these conversations. Are we going to come to solutions right away? No. But again, if we collaborate, we have to have these conversations. And I created 2 community advisory boards, but they're more in generalities. Much like when we had and still have gang task forces, I think this area needs to be, because when we start opening back up and have major sporting events here, tourism, you guys know this is going to uptick. So how do we be visible in this space? How do we be visible and make sure that people have the resources they need? At the county attorney's office in the last year, I've changed the way that we do community outreach. It used to be that we'd have a booth at a home tour. We're still going to do that. When the schools open back up, we'll still go in and talk to students and teachers and parents about bullying and vaping. But we also want to get resources. We don't need to be just a reactive agency. We need to be a proactive agency. And having the resources and information to give to parents, whether it's about cyberbullying, teen dating, online scams, trafficking, we have subject matter experts that we can team with you and go out to schools and go out to employers and just say, hey, if you can give your folks 20 minutes of your time, we'll come in and give you a presentation. Here are all the topics we talk about. We've done a couple even on like vehicular heat stroke, things like that, keeping our pets safe. So we have the resources, and we have spent a significant amount of effort to get that information out into the community. And so if you think that you have a group that might benefit from this topic or others, I can certainly give the contact information for our communications director, because this is stuff that we really want to do. We can't just sit back and do nothing, and we have to work together to do it. And with that, I just want to say thank you again. I know that we all see things and hear things and see children and young women and men that grow up with such pain, and it sticks with you, and it's not easy. So I applaud each and every one of you. And it's so good to see some familiar faces on the line. I miss seeing everybody. So I sure hope that we can all get together in person soon and celebrate. But please don't give up. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue to work hard. I know every one of you will. So if there's ever something that you think my role in the county attorney's office can do to amplify what we're doing, then let's have that conversation, because I want to support you. And this is an issue that is near and dear to my heart. So I just want to thank you again. I don't know if I'm supposed to be taking questions. I'm happy to.
Would you mind?
Like.
So Alistair, thank you. Thanks for everything you said. Thanks for everything you're doing. And thank you for the proactive changes that you're making to the office. We have some community partners on this call that, and some new partners that are just coming to this conversation and looking to how they can contribute and be beneficial to their particular groups. So if they wanted to have someone come in and present, they can contact your office and have some presenters come out. I want to make sure I understood that correctly.
Absolutely. And I think, and we do that quite often. In fact, we also, when we're actually in the office, we'll do like, Bucket Jeans Friday to raise money for an organization. And it might not be that much, but that's something to have a conversation with our communications director. But there's also little things, like I see Renee Lopez on the line here. He was kind enough to invite me out to a CC's Hope event and gave me a couple Quillos. Well, I have one still in my office, and it's a conversation starter. So it's things like that too. There were some suggestions at one point that, like for teen suicide, we partner with this teen suicide hotline and have our logo in theirs and start handing those out. But anything creative too, let's at least have the conversation. Now, at some point, if I'm stretched too thin and we can't do everything to everybody, it loses its volume. But that's why maybe this group can help come together with others and find, is there a way to do something on a broader scale? Can we talk to groups about a donation of, billboard time or whatever it is? We do have RICO funds. The cycle is closed out for this year, but as long as it has a law enforcement nexus, we can offer grants out. And so that might be an avenue to look at in the future as well.
And you participated in Night of Hope, which I believe we'll be doing again in January. And I know Cruz. I know. It seems like 5 years ago. And I think that churches in our community have a great impact. I know that we're not meeting in person right now. So unfortunately, the thing that's happening in schools is happening across our community because of the social distancing. And I think it is terrifying. I think we are probably going to see an increase in child abuse cases. What can you tell parents about the internet and their kids during this COVID time? I think that's the only thing that I would just ask you to touch on briefly.
Because it's tough. And I have two little boys, they're 8, 9, and I'm like, here, go, take it. It's tough, and they're home all day. I'm like, okay, you got some exercise, you can have some screen time. What I would say is, trust but verify, and make sure that all of the external routes are locked down, meaning they can't get on the internet, they can't be connecting with friends on some sort of game, and it's depending on their age and their responsibility level too. If they're showing responsibility, I would recommend not allowing the photo stream in there and sharing, because one photo could ruin someone's life, whether it's to get into college or someone is so shamed that they commit suicide. I mean, this is a different world that we live in, and people can be mean. At the same time, there is some value into it for educational purposes and everything else. I will tell you a funny aside. My kids' school gave them all Chromebooks, and they didn't lock down YouTube, which I was not pleased about. That problem has been fixed, but it's things like that. You just got to make sure we look through some of their history from time to time and say, if you want the privilege of having this, we're going to monitor it. And we're going to take it during the night and we're going to put it on chargers, and you're not having it. So it's little things like this, but it has to be what works best for your family and your child. But again, it's trust but verify is what we normally tell people. But Kathleen, it's a real problem, especially now. I mean, kids miss each other. They miss seeing each other. They just want to talk to their friends. And you can't argue with that. But at the same time, it's incumbent upon us as parents and grandparents to keep our children safe.
Great. Sally, is there anybody that has questions? Because I don't have access to the full screen.
No, no questions.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys. I'm going to be hopping off here in a minute, but I appreciate the invitation. And again, thank you guys. I can't wait to see you all in person, and just stay safe and be well. And please know that I'm just navigating this with integrity, and I'm going to work hard and make everybody proud.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your time today. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.